And we are back on the Zero Hour. I'm Richard RJ Eskow. And you know, it's good that we're talking about education in this, our last of the year episode, which is focusing on the future, because a fight for education is a fight for the future. It's the same fight that's being fought in every aspect of American society when you think about it. On one side, there are the forces of egalitarianism, opportunity, and self-determination. On the other, a well-funded and entrenched elite bent on hijacking our media, our political process, and our institutions to meet their selfish ends. Sadly, the classrooms of this country have not been spared. The Wall Street crowd wants us to think of education in terms of means, which usually means finding ways to spend less, instead of thinking about it in terms of ends. But when it comes to education, the ends are our children, and the means we choose for them, either consciously or through indifference, reveal who we really are as a people. Did you know that according to the most recent Census Bureau report, the amount we spend per child on education dropped this year for the first time in nearly 40 years? And for 30 years, we've been moving our educational system toward a goal of absolute standardization, a production-like, factory-like process in which graduating students are uniform and interchangeable outputs to be produced at the lowest possible cost, each equipped with the optimum utility value for the corporations that will employ increasingly few of them as the years go by. But that's not what education was meant to be. That's not what education is for. Not in a free and democratic society. The corporate system, and it is a well-designed system, doesn't want to produce any more student outputs than it needs, or any that won't be useful as corporate tools. And it's perfectly fine, this corporate system. It's perfectly fine for the system if poor and minority kids don't get a decent education. The system didn't need their parents, and apparently it doesn't need them either. Music programs, the system doesn't need violin-playing kids or schoolgirls who'd rather play the drums than twirl a baton. Arts programs, our corporate walls are already lined with Kandinskys and Clays. Thank you very much. But our nation's children aren't outputs. They're human beings. As William Butler Yeats, the poet, said, education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. We're told that our children are citizens of a great, powerful, and democratic nation. Their education must be equal to those claims. Our children should be prepared to assume the full rights and duties of citizenship. They should be prepared to determine our society's fate. The system may not want that kind of education for our children, but we do. That's why we have a democracy. In the face of a heartless system, it's time to reaffirm a basic human value. Education is every child's birthright, and it should honor the humanity which every child possesses. That includes arts programs. Arts programs are an essential part of education. As the poet William Blake said, imagination is not a state, it is the human existence itself. The purpose of education is to help us fully realize and express our identities, and to enable us to exercise our freedoms wisely. Anything less means we are a society that is neither fully human nor fully free. It's time to declare our unequivocal support for education that draws out the best in us in a humane and just way. It's time to reject the cynical values that choose profits over people, especially the youngest people among us. It's time to declare that each and every one of our nation's children possesses a rare and precious quality, whether their schools are in the Hamptons or Harlem, Northampton or the Navajo Nation, Arcadia or Appalachia. It is time to declare that each and every child in this nation is fully and profoundly and beautifully human. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.